Imagine a world where the devastating impact of climate change is no longer just a warning, but a harsh reality that's already claiming thousands of lives. The alarming truth is that carbon emissions from the world's largest fossil fuel companies have been directly linked to dozens of deadly heat waves, a connection that's been established for the first time in a groundbreaking new analysis. But here's where it gets controversial. The research suggests that the emissions from just one of the 14 biggest companies are enough to cause over 50 heat waves that would have been virtually impossible otherwise. This raises a critical question. Can we hold these companies accountable for the damage they're causing? The study's findings are a leap forward in the legal battle to make big oil pay for its role in the climate crisis. The research reveals that the carbon pollution from companies like ExxonMobil and Saudi Aramco has made heat waves at least 10,000 times more likely than they would have been in an unheated world. To put this into perspective, the scorching heat wave that hit the Pacific Northwest in 2021 was made almost 3°C hotter due to global heating, resulting in unprecedented human suffering. The new research analyzed the emissions from 180 carbon major companies and found that they were responsible for about half the increase in heat wave intensity, with forest destruction accounting for most of the rest. The study also discovered that the 213 heat waves examined became 200 times more likely on average from 2010 to 2019 due to the climate crisis. Prof. Sonia Seneviratne, a senior author of the report, emphasized that being able to trace the contribution of individual emitters and quantify their impact could be invaluable in establishing potential liability. Dr. Davide Ferranda, a research director at the French National Center for Scientific Research, noted that this study connects the dots between specific climate disasters and the companies whose emissions made them possible, potentially becoming a cornerstone for legal and policy action. Cassidy DePaula, a spokesperson for the Make Polluters Pay campaign, pointed out that we can now pinpoint specific heat waves and attribute them to companies like Saudi Aramco and ExxonMobil, highlighting the real people who died, crops that failed, and communities that suffered due to corporate decisions. The world's highest court has ruled that failing to prevent climate harm could result in compensation. And a German high court has set a precedent that fossil fuel companies can be held liable for their contribution. As DePaula said, "The bill is coming due, and it's time these polluters pay for the damage they've done." The research used a type of analysis called attribution, comparing the current hotter world with the pre-industrial era to assess how emissions have driven up temperatures. The scientists found that the increase in average heatwave intensity rose from 1.4 degrees Celsius in 2000 to 2009 to 2.2 degrees Celsius in 2020 to 23, with the 213 major heat waves assessed, occurring from 2000 to 2023 across every continent. However, the data likely underestimates the true scale of these events, and the real consequences are probably far greater. Even the emissions from the fossil fuel companies at the bottom of the list had a significant impact, causing 16 heat waves to become at least 10,000 times more likely. Dr. Carsten Haustein said this study could support future climate lawsuits and serve as a reminder that denial and anti-science rhetoric won't make climate liability disappear. Fossil fuel companies have a particular responsibility, having pursued profit through disinformation and lobbying, despite knowing about the dangers of global heating since the 1980s. But, as Prof. Michael Gerard and Dr. Jessica Wentz pointed out, no polluter has yet been held accountable in court, and challenges remain. The road to actual liability for the carbon majors is still littered with legal and evidentiary obstacles. So, we must ask, will we finally hold these companies accountable for their role in the climate crisis, or will they continue to prioritize profits over people's lives? The answer to this question will have far-reaching consequences for our planet's future.